Good morning, everyone. Welcome.
We have a couple of speakers also.
Are there speakers?
Speakers? Speakers? Yes. No, sign that.
Good morning. Thank you. My name is Chuck Himes, and I'm the project manager for the Phase 2 Partnership, a joint venture of WSP USA and STV with offices here in the Financial District, 77 Water Street. The joint venture is performing design services for Phase 2 of the 2nd Avenue subway under contract CM 1190. And as part of our proposal, we committed to develop and implement a paid intern program to employ local college students to work here with our design professionals. The goals were to provide real-world experience for the students in their selected areas of study. Thank you. For them to gain real-world experience on a major project, and to also enhance our DBE program through employment with our DBE firms. We focused our recruiting efforts on CCNY for our candidates, and working with their director of intern programs, we sought candidates in the fields of architecture, civil, structural, mechanical, and electrical engineering. We interviewed candidates who had the relevant coursework experience, leadership experience in student and community organizations, demonstrated enthusiasm for the opportunity, and relevant previous experience. We hired 10 interns in all of those areas, and they represented a great diversity from New York City neighborhoods and ethnicities. The interns started in our project office on June 26th, just a week after we opened that office, and continued through the school year. They were paired with a senior design professional to give them work assignments and supervise their work. At the end of the intern program, we were also able to provide part-time work for 2 of our interns, and we'll have another intern program next summer and each summer that we're working on the project. I'm pleased to have today with me, well, one of our interns was working his way up through security. I don't think Aladdin made it, and the other one's the other one's on the train, a little early for a college student. At any rate, maybe if Aladdin shows up, I think he'd like to speak about his experience. We really had a great group of interns, and we're really happy for that opportunity. Thank you.
Let me thank you also. And, this initiative is a win-win for everybody. The 2nd Avenue Phase 2 going through Spanish Harlem, we should ensure that the project is finished safely, timely, on budget, and that everybody who should be benefiting from the program can benefit from the program. And so a paid internship program is a way for us as an organization to recruit and develop our future pool of talent. And in my conversations with Pat Foy and Ronnie and the chairman, we're going to explore the possibility of expanding this program in other operating agencies as well. So, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. We need to have approval of the minutes from December of last year, as well as February and May of this year. All in favor? Aye. The Diversity Committee work plan?
Mr. Chairman, there are no changes in the work plan.
Let's move along to the executive summary.
Okay. Okay. Just waiting for them to put it up on the screen. So, Mr. Chairman, the Business and Diversity Initiatives lists the various outreach events that our office attends, and they're listed in the book. I would like to point out that in October, from October 4th, on October 4th and 5th, our office, as well as representatives from the MTA agencies and headquarters, will attend an MWBE conference in Albany. That's the Governor's Conference. That is one of the largest of its kind in the United States. And we play a leading role in that conference. Various agencies, actually most agencies and authorities of the state will be there, as well as the small businesses, including MWBEs and prime contractors will be there to discuss the various contracting opportunities with the state. Secondly, we have the DB certification activity report. For the reporting period, 26 applications were received and 47 applications were processed. For the EEO report, the full report is in the book, but there are 73,400 employees, of which over 13,000 or 18% are women, and almost 50,000 or 68% are minorities, and 1,800 or 2% are veterans. As of the second quarter of 2016, there was a 5% increase in the representation of women. There was also a 4% increase in representation of minorities, and for the reporting period, nearly 4,000 employees were hired, of which 26% are women, 77% are minorities, and 3% are veterans. In this book, we are also presenting underutilization information, and I will yield this point to my friend Joyce, who will talk about that.
Thank you, Naeem. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, committee members, and Mr. Gardner. In order to complete the utilization analysis to determine if the internal workforce was reflective of the external labor market, all agency EO officers reviewed this workforce data to ensure that each position title was assigned to the correct occupational census code, job group, and EEO category, as showed on page 49 to 52 of your book. This project took a year to complete, and the EO officers saved MTA almost $2 million in consulting fees. I would like to congratulate the EO officers and their staff on a fantastic job. Thank you, Naeem.
So, Mr. Chairman, in addition, we have in this report the number of EEO complaints which were processed. There were 418 complaints, of which 237 were internal and 181 were external complaints. Additionally, for the reporting period, the headquarters and agencies handled 260 Title VI complaints. And this is just a chart of workforce information per agency, and it also lists the how it breaks down between gender and between minorities and non-minorities and ethnic groups. In this meeting, we also have agency presidents who are here to give representations on their efforts to address underutilization, and the first one is MTA headquarters.
Statement. Excuse me, I'm sorry. This is a statement by me that states that our process are going to be inclusive and then that we are committed to diversity here at the MTA with respect to our workforce. Mike.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Chairman, committee members. I'm Michael Kalish, Director of Human Resources at headquarters here. I would like to, at this point, reaffirm the importance of diversity in the workplace to headquarters in connection with all of its efforts involving recruitment, promotional activities, and hiring efforts and HR efforts across the board. It extends not only to minority and gender issues, but to disability candidates as well as those in the LGBTQ community. And a particular focus has been made for some period of time now and will continue to be made to veterans out there in the marketplace. In 2017, what the report that Ms. Brown referred to reflects that 61% of the headquarters new hires have been minorities. We've been aggressively advertising in a variety of different diverse publications. Every week, the job vacancies that exist within headquarters are forwarded along to 290 separate diverse organizations so that those can be distributed among their membership. A few examples earlier this week, for example, headquarters coordinated multi-agency attendance at the New York City Business Council meeting hosted by the New York City Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities, and we're in the process of developing and furthering that relationship that we have with that office. There have been, in the first 6 months of 2017, 14 military job fairs and outreach events that have been attended, as well as our other activities with regard to involvement with the veteran community. For 2018, one of our main objectives involves the hiring of the newly created position within the DDCR, which is the Assistant Deputy Chief Diversity Officer for Title VI and Workforce Initiatives. The position's been posted, applications have been received, and we're in the process of recruiting for somebody to fill that very important position in the very near future. Headquarters has weekly meetings in the Human Resources Department to go over each of the vacancies that recruitment efforts have commenced for and what the status is with regard to filling those vacancies. It's our intention to invite this new position from the DDCR to each and every one of these meetings to provide some suggestions as to how to, particularly in underutilized areas, ratchet up the recruitment efforts in whatever area is underutilized. As I had mentioned initially with respect to the last slide, our recruitment efforts going forward are also going to include individuals with disabilities. We're exploring a relationship currently with the Helen Keller Foundation, as well as I mentioned the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities, as well as researching affinity associations involved with the LGBTQ community. And finally, the last thing that we have as an initiative for 2018 is to improve the methods that we have to capture new hire information and to work with the BSC in better ways to maintain the data with regard to individuals with disabilities, veteran status, as well as other employee characteristics. Mr. Garner?
Let me echo Mike's statement with respect to this key and vital staff person who we are going to be hiring. I would say the next 30, 45 days. That person is going to be key. The EO recruitment is a shared responsibility with respect to diversity. And that person is going to work not only with HQ, HR department, but all of the HR departments in the agencies, and coming up with solutions that's going to allow us to overcome the historical hiring of the efficiencies that we currently have with respect to Hispanics, women, and also blacks in certain job categories. So as Susan has indicated, the same way that we came up with solutions on the business side by having programs that allow us now to award a more diverse pool of contracts to our certified contractors, it's the same method that we have to employ on the workforce side. And so this new person is going to be a very, very vital addition to the MTA operating agency family here at HQ.
Good morning. My name is Joe McGran. I'm the Chief of Operations for the MTA Police Department. I'm representing Chief Owen Monahan, who is out of town. Our message to the board regarding this issue is increasing diversity in the ranks is an important priority for the MTA Police Department, not only at our entry level, but at the supervisory level as well. To that end, the command staff has been instructed to encourage all officers, particularly women and minorities, to take the upcoming promotional exams to sergeant and lieutenant. In addition, we have reached out to the Guardian Association and the New York Women in Law Enforcement Organization seeking their assistance in recruiting new officers. In 2017, a written examination was administered to over 10,000 applicants for the entry-level position. We hired 82 police officers so far this year. Just over 10% of them were female. Of these 82 officers that we hired this year, 7 were veterans, 38 were minorities, including the 9 females. We partnered with the fraternal organizations, including New York Women in Law Enforcement, the MTA Police Guardians, and the Columbian Association, to encourage their members to take the sergeant and lieutenant promotional exam, and encourage also future applicants to take the entrance exam in the future. In 2018, we're anticipating to, in the last half of 2017 and beginning of 2018, we're anticipating to administer the physical test in the fourth quarter of this year, going into the first quarter of next year, to over 1,100 diverse applicants. We are projecting in January of 2018 of a class of 35 to 40 individuals, and we also project to hire another 20 in April of 2018. We plan to administer the sergeant and lieutenant promotional examinations in the first quarter of 2018 with a focus on encouraging females and minorities to take these exams. We will attend approximately 5 events in the upcoming weeks to encourage females and minorities to take the next entrance exam. Thank you.
Good morning. This is my first board meeting, so please bear with me. So my name is Cedric Fulton. I'm the president of MTA Bridges and Tunnels. Good morning, Chairman Malloy, committee members, and colleagues. As president of MTA Bridges and Tunnels, I affirm my abiding commitment to diversity and inclusion with our workforce and shall be resolved in advancing fair and equitable policies and practices where an employee's differences are valued and integrated into each part of our organization's operations. I'm equally committed to investing in and supporting minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses by eliminating barriers, implementing robust diversity goals, and creating contracting opportunities within our organization. At B&T, our leadership supports a workforce that is fair and impartial and treats qualified applicants and employees within its workforce with respect and dignity. As an organization, we strive to develop, motivate, and promote employees to ensure that B&T capitalizes on the skills, talents, and abilities offered by its human resources. Accordingly, we believe and hold dearly that successful diversity management initiatives not only enhance the overall performance within the agency, they unequivocally elevate safety, security, and public accountability to the highest levels within an organization. To accomplish our diversity initiatives and ensure that every crossing counts, B&T will be guided by the following organizational principles. By leaning in, we will break down barriers and open doors to workforce and supplier diversity through innovation, communication, and collaboration. Through service excellence, we will be world-class leaders of open road tolling by providing outstanding, secure, reliable customer service. Through diversity management, we will make personal growth and leadership a top priority, one in which we can develop our talent in a work environment that promotes a culturally diverse workforce of high-performing employees who are inspired to be the best. With regard to 2017 key accomplishments, in 2017, B&T launched a number of initiatives to identify employment and business opportunities for women, minorities, and veterans. I would now like to take this opportunity to share a few highlights of Bridges and Tunnels' efforts to improve workforce diversity and business initiatives through the second quarter of 2017. Through continuous improvements, we have made progress in our efforts to increase the underrepresentation of females and minorities in the first and second quarter through our Management Associates program, a 2-year management program and strategic initiative to attract the millennial generation to employment in B&T and to encourage them to recognize our agency as an employer of choice. The program has a total of 17 participants, of which 41% are females, 58% minorities, 53 were hired as junior engineers. B&T also successfully attracted 41 summer interns, 80% of whom were females and 60% were minorities. B&T recruiters participated in 7 veteran, higher education, and STEM job fairs to increase the representations of females and minorities where it exists within the agency. B&T participated in 5 minority, women, and veteran-owned business outreach events to provide opportunities for design, build, engineering, and construction contracts. We have demonstrated our commitment by creating business opportunities through MTA's Small Business Mentoring Program. B&T's engineering and construction have successfully met or exceeded target goals as part of the MTA's 10-year plan. All projects to date have been completed on time and within budget, and with an excellent safety record of 0 lost time injuries. One of our success stories includes the most recent completion of improvements to the battery parking garage for $7 million. The work was awarded under a competitive solicitation and successfully completed by Masterpiece Contracting, a graduate of the MTA Small Business Mentoring Program. Key activities for 2018. With more than 33% of our non-represented workforce eligible for retirement over the next 3 to 5 years, B&T believes that planning is essential to manage talent and to maintain continuity of B&T's initiatives in open road tolling, enterprise asset management, safety, and state of good repair. To manage the talent, B&T will launch a succession planning committee to address the underrepresentation of females in critical mid-level positions. B&T will conduct a workforce climate survey last quarter of 2017, which includes self-identification by gender, ethnicity, veteran status, and persons with disability. The data collected will help to identify 2018 strategies to address recruitment, hiring, and retention practices, and to increase our workforce level of awareness of programs and policies that support a diverse and inclusive workplace environment. Lastly, B&T Enterprise Asset Management Program and MTA-wide initiative will hold a community of practice, reliability, and asset management informational sessions and recruitment event, and participate in an MTA-wide training that includes 30 to 50 employees, and 50% of the participants will be women during the 4th quarter of 2017. B&T will utilize this opportunity to create strategies for 2018 to address the underrepresentation of females in the engineering, maintenance, security, finance, and operations discipline. Again, thank you for the opportunity to update you on our diversity initiatives, and on behalf of all Bridge and Tunnels employees, we look forward to working with you throughout the year. Thank you.
You had two recent personnel actions with senior staff last week?
Yes, I did. I appointed Al Rivera to be my executive vice president, and I've asked Sean Moore to be my acting chief of staff. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Malloy, President Foy, Managing Director Hakeem, committee members, and colleagues. MTA Bus is committed to equal employment opportunity in all business decisions, including recruitment, hiring, promotion, and termination of employees, as well as contract awards, procurement, programs, and services provided by MTA Bus. At MTA Bus operations, our 3-pronged approach to diversity includes a management awareness, public outreach, and workforce development. This year, my senior leadership team and I will continue to work in each of these areas in order to ensure the equitable representation and advancement of protected group members at all levels of employment. This includes the utilization of female-owned, minority-owned, veteran-owned, and disadvantaged businesses in contracts and procurements, the equitable distribution of transit service and benefits, as well as a non-discriminatory impact of agency decisions and activities. Members of the leadership team will conduct various management training sessions in the areas of ethics, respectful workplace, effective recruitment strategies, among other topics, in order to better inform our managers and supervisors. The MTA Bus senior leadership team will continue to work to promote their diversity initiatives throughout MTA Bus Company in order to reinforce our commitment to diversity within the workforce. During this reporting period, MTA Bus filled two critical positions, hiring a Director of EEO Outreach, Training and Diversity, and a Director of EEO Compliance. We have also increased the number of open house recruitment events to attract provisional talent. 26% of external recruitment events held during the reporting period were targeted to women, veterans, and people with disabilities. Our key diversity initiatives will be to continue our work of identifying departments, occupational titles, and job categories experiencing underrepresentation and implementing strategic recruitment initiatives. Members of my senior staff will develop a core group of diversity champions within buses who will participate in this effort. Thank you.
Thank you. John Leiber.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm Jano Lieber, the Chief Development Officer, and among other things, I oversee MTA Capital Construction. Capital Construction is a growing organization which is dedicated to developing major public projects in one of the most diverse regions in the world. So as our organization continues to evolve, we remain committed to intensifying our efforts to integrate diversity into all of our operations so that we are making strides towards full inclusion. At Capital Construction, we recognize that diversity of thought, education, work style, and life experience is a strength, and that it will ultimately produce beneficial results and serve generations to come. We're proud of the progress we've made, and we also recognize there's more to accomplish. Our key accomplishments for 2017 is that in the first half of this year, 58% of those folks we hired were minorities. We forged a relationship, and I think it's for us it's an important one, with a fellow infrastructure organization, the Army Corps of Engineers, to brainstorm and develop strategies for recruitment and retention, both of which I think all of us know are a challenge in a very competitive workplace market for talent. We've continued to be active in a lot of different outreach forums, some of those hosted by the city agency, the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities, others that are sponsored by educational institutions, schools, and universities throughout the city, including in minority neighborhoods. We're participating, obviously, in career fairs and Career Exploration Month events that are sponsored, again, by city and state agencies. Among our initiatives for 2017 is that we want to continue and intensify, as I said, the efforts to recruit minority and female STEM students for inclusion, for internships. I think this is very, very important. It's something that I did a lot when I was in the private sector. At Silverstein, by the time I left, half of our design and construction staff was women and minorities. And in the private sector, that was a little bit above the norm. And I think that the internship effort, and I compliment Mr. Garner and others who worked on the internship program on the 2nd Avenue Subway project. We drew from City College's very distinguished engineering and architecture student body. There are a range of different institutions in this city that are attracting women and minorities into engineering and design professions. And we need to make sure that those kids, those students, have an opportunity to see what we're doing, because a lot of them are attracted to our profession because of big public projects. They're exciting, they're city kids, they're people who are part of the city, and we need to take advantage of that excitement and that draw to bring them into the MTA family. We're going to continue our partnership with other MTA agencies to share costs, resources, and best practices for strengthening our recruitment. I can't emphasize that enough. And we're developing a staff training program at Capital to focus on diversity and to sensitize everybody to how issues of diversity and potential issues of unconscious bias need to be addressed in the workplace so that we optimize opportunities for inclusion. I thank the committee and I thank our diversity team at MTA for their leadership.
Thank you. Pat Nowakowski.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak about the Long Island Railroad's efforts to increase the representation of women minorities. Diversity is a key corporate strategy behind the way we do business. Long Island Railroad continually strives to build a diverse workforce and to ensure that all employees are given equal opportunity to maximize their potential and establish successful careers. Broadening the pool of talent results in more innovation, which in turn benefits our customers. The Long Island Railroad is committed to equal employment opportunity for all employees and applicants for Long Island Railroad employment. We make every effort to attract, develop, and retain a workforce profile that reflects the diversity of the region's labor pool. Long Island Railroad also operates its services without regard to race, color, or national origin in accordance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Long Island Railroad's executive team recognizes the importance of leveraging diversity in all Long Island Railroad business practices. We are personally committed to diversity and strongly believe in the business case and benefits of a diverse workforce. We will continue to seek all opportunities to increase female and minority representation. Between January 1st and June 30th of this year, Long Island Railroad's workforce increased by 187 employees. The total female headcount increased from 1,092 to 1,123, with the percentage of female representation increasing from 15.2 to 15.3%. Female percentage of representation met or exceeded 80% of the census available in all EEO job categories, with the exception of officials and administrators, professionals, and skilled craft job categories. Total minority headcount and percentage of minority representation increased from 2,542 to 2,633, a 0.3% increase from 35.5 to 35.8. Blacks remain below 80% of the census availability in the officials and administrators, professionals, technicians, and skilled craft job categories. Hispanics remain below 80% of the census availability in the professionals and skilled craft job categories. Asians remain below 80% of the census availability in the service maintenance job category. With respect to 2017 accomplishments, Long Island Railroad hired a total of 323, of which 62, 19% were female, 143, 44% were minority, and 20, 6% were veterans. Of the 26 new hires in the officials and administrators job category, 23% were female and 46% were minority. Of the 19 new hires in the professionals job category, 21% were female and 47% were minority. Of the 24 new hires in the technicians job category, 29% were female and 46% were minority. Of the 59 new hires in the administrative support job category, 53% were female and 47% were minority. Of the 142 new hires in the skilled craft job categories, only 6% were female and 40% were minority. And of the 53 new hires in certain service maintenance job category, 9% were female and 49% were minority. Long Island Railroad hired 88 summer interns and seasonal staff, of which 44% were female and 49% were minority. Staff attended pre-career fair days at 9 colleges, including Stony Brook University, Bronx Community College, and Suffolk Community College. Long Island Railroad currently has in place 2 upward mobility programs, a junior engineer program, and a project manager trainee program. Junior engineer is an entry-level training that introduces participants to Long Island Railroad and its various operating and support departments. Specifically, the program is designed to familiarize employees with all aspects of railroad operation. It's a 52-week curriculum. It covers signals, tracker structures, and on-the-job training. The participants all will work with a mentor. Upon successful completion of the program, junior engineers are placed in entry-level management positions. Between January 1st and June 30th, 2 junior engineers were hired, both minority and 1 female. In the project management trainee, it's a 2-year entry-level training consisting of coordination assistance with project administration and Department of Project Management. Working with seasoned project managers, trainees receive on-the-job and classroom training in project coordination development, controls management, scheduling, and estimating. Trainees learn to apply specialized knowledge specific to the requirements of the railroad industry. Through rotational assignments, trainees are given an overview of the railroad and its various operating and support departments. Upon successful completion of the training program, trainees are placed into appropriate entry-level project management positions. Between January 1st and June 30th, 7 project manager trainees were hired, 2 were female and 5 were minorities. To aid veteran recruitment, Long Island Railroad staff attended the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Farmingdale Armed Forces Reserve Center Job Fair and Recruit Military Job Fairs on May 25th and September 14th. We also collaborated with Aleda Myers, Director of MTA All-Agency Veterans Recruitment and Staffing Initiatives, to distribute job postings to 1,700 service members on her email list, as well as to cover 200 military liaisons. To assist employees with advancement opportunities, Long Island Railroad offered workshops in effective resume writing and interview technique. Applicants were also afforded the opportunity to receive constructive feedback on recent interviews. With respect to 2018 key diversity initiatives, by the third quarter of 2018, Long Island Railroad personnel will attend at least 14 pre-career college events and job fairs. Long Island Railroad staff will continue to work closely with the MTA All-Agency Veterans Recruitment and Staffing Initiatives to reach as many veterans as possible for vacancies. Long Island Railroad's goal is to attract and identify individuals who have the best mix of skills and attributes for the available positions. Ensuring that all qualified individuals, including individuals with disabilities, can participate in this process is key to achieving the goal. Accordingly, by June of 2018, Long Island Railroad will establish goals for individuals with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Kathy.
Good morning, Chairman Malloy, members of the committee. Metro-North leadership is committed to increasing diversity in the workforce and maintaining a corporate culture that embraces our differences. Diversity enriches our workplace and fosters innovation, creativity, and cultural understanding, and we recognize that diversity of people drives diversity of thought and improves our business outcomes. Our leadership supports these values through the implementation of our strategic plan. One of our 3 corporate strategic priorities is our people, and our leadership and our departments have developed a series of initiatives in order to advance the development and provide promotional opportunities to people and to engage in efforts to increase the diversity of our workforce. In terms of our key accomplishments for 2017, we established, and I actually run, a women's book club, which attracts a broad cross-section of Metro-North employees and has provided an excellent opportunities for women to network and share their stories in terms of advancing within the company. We're actually meeting tomorrow. We have redesigned, and refurnished our lactation room in the Grand Central Terminal locations. With respect to our summer internship program, we're very proud of that program, and we use it as an opportunity to engage millennials and educate them about the opportunities for employment within the railroad. This past summer, we hired 15 summer interns, 23 of whom were females, which is 40%. Metro-North and COMTO co-hosted the MTA Chief Panel discussion in the spring, which included Ronnie Hakem and all of the agency presidents. Our Associate Engineer program is another program of which we're particularly proud. It's another way of engaging millennials and getting them into a career path in the railroad to fill key operational areas in various departments. This past year, we recruited and hired 16 engineers for the program, 8 of whom 50% were minority. In terms of our hiring for the reporting period, we hired 299 employees, including 18 veterans. 17% of those were female. 6% of the female hires were female veterans. 42% of our new hires were minorities, of which 50% were veterans, and approximately 6% of our new hires were veterans. 2018, our key initiatives. Building on the Our People priority of our strategic plan, we are going to continue our Healthy For You program. That's our workplace wellness program, which is focused on issues of health that are specific to women and minority communities, as well as the Women's Book Club, which meets quarterly to focus on strengthening our communication and engaging our female employees. We have gotten budget approval to increase our talent acquisition team by 3 recruiters. That's going to assist us in developing or actually building upon existing diversity recruitment efforts of females and minorities, especially with respect to the skilled crafts area where there's a lot of room for improvement in terms of retaining and attracting female candidates. By the 3rd quarter of next year, we're intending to hold a skilled craft job fair to increase female and minority applications for positions. And by June of next year, we will establish the first hiring goal for individuals with disabilities. I'd like to echo everything that the earlier agency president said with respect to efforts to attract veterans. We're very proud of our veterans recruiting. 9% of our workforce is currently consisting of veterans, and we thank MTA for their leadership in this area, and especially thank Aleda Myers for all that she has done in terms of increasing our awareness and our efforts in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Darrell?
Thank you. Chairman Malloy, President Foy, Managing Director Hakeem, committee members, friends, good morning. I believe that this forum is an appropriate one to remind us of the continuing need to remain vigilant against hatred, bigotry, violence, and discrimination. A core belief of mine and the executive leadership team at New York City Transit is that we're all equal. We recognize that our strengths are derived from contributions of women and men of different races, religions, and personal beliefs. And at New York City Transit, we celebrate those differences. Before I speak about some of our key accomplishments this year, I want to briefly highlight new initiatives underway in our Department of EEO and Diversity. Earlier this year, I challenged the department's leadership team to reimagine how EEO, diversity, and inclusion are evident in our workplace. In response to my challenge, the department has established 4 project teams that are focused on 1, rebranding and communication efforts, which when fully implemented will include an EEO and diversity dashboard and a revised internal website to increase awareness of the department's mission and work. 2, an agency-wide EEO and diversity climate assessment to identify internal perceptions about equality and inclusion at New York City Transit and to improve our ability to address issues in a more targeted fashion. 3, an employee engagement and development initiative driven by complaint data and designed to support our continuing efforts to always provide excellent customer service. And 4, an internal investigation process improvement initiative designed to deliver more efficient internal customer complaint resolutions. The project team leads recently provided me an update, and I am pleased and impressed with their creativity and progress thus far, and look forward to the next update. Now I would like to highlight a few examples of activities we have undertaken this year to integrate diversity and inclusion into our business practices at New York City Transit. On recruitment efforts, from January 1, 2017 to June 30th, New York City Transit hired 48 veterans, conducted 2 open house recruitment events for skilled trade talent that attracted a diverse pool of applicants, and participated in an external recruitment events, 26% of which were targeted toward women, veterans, and people with disabilities. New York City Transit and MTA Bus currently employ 194 college and graduate interns, of which 51% are male and 49% are female. These interns represent a diverse population consisting of 44% Asian, 19% white, 17% black, 17% Hispanic, and 3% of who self-identifying using 2 or more races. Pilot Mentoring Program. Our Pilot Mentoring Program, which began in March of this year, has engaged 35 mentor-mentee peers who represent all departments and all levels of the agency. According to the participants, the level of commitment and the diverse cross-functional mix of people has been a success. We will conduct an end-of-the-year program review and expect to administer a full mentoring program rollout in 2018, incorporating lessons learned from the pilot. We are engaged with one of the nation's premier organizations for diversity thought leaders to improve our understanding of diversity, best practice, and to develop an innovative solutions for culture change. Looking ahead to 2018, let me share a few initiatives that we have planned as part of our continuing efforts to improve workforce utilization. Recruitment efforts. Our diversity recruitment strategy includes a plan to establish partnerships with the Mayor's Office of People with Disabilities and 10 professional organizations dedicated to the professional development of members of minority groups who are currently underutilized in our workforce. Additionally, New York City Transit continues to strengthen its engagement with partnership with the New York City Department of Education technical high schools, in particular Transit Tech High School in Brooklyn, to prepare the next generations of skilled trade talent. We are developing employee groups and a diversity advisory council with an executive sponsors to connect diversity and inclusion to our business goals. You can expect to hear more about that in 2018. And as I mentioned earlier, the diversity dashboard and engagement efforts are ongoing. So in closing, let me say that I believe that through our shared commitment to excellence, equality, and inclusion, we will ensure that the work experience at New York City Transit is not only dynamic and rewarding, but also welcoming for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I make a comment?
Yes.
I think you realize how much I appreciate this focus on workforce. MTA became a national leader in minority subcontracting. And you did that using innovative programs that helped minorities and indeed all subcontractors learn how to work with this occasionally difficult agency. I'm happy to see that the presidents are working together, developing programs, because it's innovative programs that will get us where we want to be. So it pleases me very much to see this focus so strong right now. I think it's where we need to be. Thanks.
Thank you, Susan. So as opposed to giving a full-fledged overview of our small business mentoring program, we're going to go to a tape. I'm going to give you a few brief highlights, and then we're going to move on. Adrian?
Brooklyn-based Minhas Construction has scored lucrative MTA contracts to rebuild the Beach 116th Street station in the Rockaways after Hurricane Sandy, and to install equipment protecting the Canal Street station on the one line from flooding during the next superstorm.
When I started this firm, my first project was $5,000. My office was my basement, you know, the same chair that I used to use to chat when I was a kid, you know.
That was less than a decade ago. Now Waqas Mahmood is a small business success.
It's the American dream.
Mahmood says he owes some of his success to the program, which gives women and minority-owned businesses tools to better compete for transit construction projects, ranging from $100,000 to $3 million. In some cases, they partner with more established firms to develop their business, organizational, and professional skills. They also obtain help in applying and qualifying for loans.
It's tough because they don't have the access to capital, the bonding, and the right size projects. And so we have eradicated
breaking 50 contracts were awarded, collectively valued at over $53 million.
Started in 2009, the program is growing with more than $500 million in contracts set to be awarded in the next 5 years.
If I was in business, it is so much opportunities out here.
Which is all Mahmood says he ever needed. And if you're interested in joining the MTA Small Business Mentorship Program or learning more, you can go to web.mta.info/SBDP. Jose Martinez, New York 1.
So as Susan indicated, that the MTA's motto is now the national motto with the right size projects, training, access to capital, and access to bonding. And we're working with the operating agencies, and I got all of your names this week, and we're going to have a working group, a committee, that's going to ensure that our forecast projects are going to be realized. So this year, we're focusing on $145 million in contract awards. Next year, 145, and the following year, 145, for a total of $501 million. And so what you're seeing is access to government contracts equals job creation in the MWDB community, a path to home ownership, better educational opportunities, and better healthcare options. It's the American dream. And so I want to thank this board and thank the leadership and thank the operating agency presidents for making this program the national motto. And let me also say, with respect to access to capital, next week we will award our 100th loan in the small business program. The national issue of accessing capital for emerging small firms have been solved here at the MTA. In 7 years, there's been 2 of defaults, less than 1%. And so we solved the problem once again of the lack of access to capital for emerging contractors. Thank you.
Continue for the MWDB contract compliance report. I'll just briefly state that for the first 9 months of the federal fiscal year 2017, 15% was achieved in awards to DBEs. The goal remained 17%. And in terms of payments, we achieved 19% awards going to DBEs. For the state-funded contracts, the MWB goal remained 30%. And for the contracts which were awarded, 16% went to MWBEs. In terms of payments, 23% was achieved in terms of MWBE participation. For discretionary payments, for awards of $400,000 or less, $147 million was awarded, and out of that, 17% went to MWBEs, with an additional 4% to small business concerns. For architectural engineering discretionary awards, there are 14 projects awarded, totaling $1.5 million. For IT discretionary awards, 113 awards with $18 million. And since its inception, $50 million has been awarded to MWBEs. For legal fees, $8 million for the reporting period April, May, June. Of that, $683,000 or 9% was paid to MWBE firms. And for the last state fiscal year, $31 million was awarded, of which 10% went to MWBE firms.
Let me say that we're averaging less than 10% with regard to our legal fees. I had a meeting yesterday with all of the operating agency councils, and we agreed to host 2 major outreach events for the MWBE firms who are currently on our panel, with the focus of ensuring that as we move forward, that our assignments are going to be issued out in a more inclusive manner. Also, we were not aware that we're not counting the legal fees that's being issued by risk management. And so I'm going to be circling back around to make sure that they are aware of our panel, in addition to counting those fees that's issued by them.
And we continue to conduct site visits. Those numbers keep increasing. For the January through August period, 457 site visits were conducted. In addition to that, we continue to make progress in closing out contracts, and over 1,000 contracts have been closed. with the 17 contracts in the process of being closed and 75 contracts who are pending some sort of agency action before they can be closed. To give you a brief update on our capital projects for the federally funded projects, $903 million was awarded, and with the DB participation of 16%, and that's for the January through June 27 period. And for the same period, for the state-funded contracts, $459 million was awarded, with the MWB participation of 13% and the WB participation of 10% for a total MWB participation of 23%. And I would just like to point out that the federal fiscal year ends on Saturday, and for the upcoming federal fiscal year, in fact, for the next 3 federal fiscal years, we have to set a new DB goal, and we're proposing an 18% goal for the upcoming 3 federal fiscal years based upon the number of projects which will be awarded, as well as the availability of DB firms in relationship to the overall number of firms which are available in our service area to perform those types of projects.
Thank you. Who's next?
Financial services.
Is Pat still here?
Good morning. Good morning. Just really quickly, just to highlight financial services for the period. For our, just looking around, I can't see the thing there, but for actual MWB participation was approximately 1.3 million, which was 53%. And then for our actual WBE participation, it was 338,000, which was 14%, and the actual special service disabled veteran-owned participation was 151,000, which was 6%. And in general, that was a total of 67% went to minority and women-owned businesses for that particular period. It's a little bit high. We started off the quarter really well, but it reflects one transaction that was very much highlighted by a minority business that was a senior manager. That was Ramirez and Company, which is the highlight and the goal of the program. So that's pretty much it.
So isn't high good?
High is good. I just don't want the board to look for these numbers to continue. We're going to revert back to the mean, which has been always good, around 35%.
Right. So we're the highest in the state of New York with 35% MWB inclusion, and you're the only area in the whole entire organization which has achieved their 6% SDVOB goal. So kudos to you and Pat and Bob Ferran. Thank you.
Well, thank you for also leading the charge.
Thank you. Next and final, Sean Crawford is going to give a very brief, I guess about a minute, of where we are with respect to our asset fund managers.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and committee members. I will keep this very, very, very brief. Our AUM with MWBEs and the pension funds continues to march higher. We crossed $1 billion as of June 30th in MWBE assets. That is 15% of our total assets. Looking underlying the asset classes, the vast majority of the MWBE participation is in traditional asset classes, with about 21% of our AUM. The one thing I really, really want to highlight is that we've not sacrificed one bit of performance in who we've hired. Our best performing large cap, best performing small cap, best performing international manager are either women or minority owned. So they've added significant value to the pensions over the last 1, 3, and 5 years. We are amongst the highest in terms of allocations to MWBEs within the pension plans. Interestingly, there was a USGAO study released this week on how to increase MWBE participation in federal pension plans. There were 4 specific recommendations. I'm really pleased to say that we follow already those 4 recommendations, which are leadership commitment by the organization, outreach to the community, removing barriers, arbitrary barriers such as time in business or assets under management, and then clearly communicating what our goals and our objectives are to the community. So with that, I will conclude my comments, but things are looking great for us in the pension world. Thank you.
Great. And Sean, in summation, we over $1 billion in assets are being managed by minority women-owned firms, currently speaking, over $1 billion?
That is correct. So that is 15% or so of the total assets under management in the pension plan.
Great. Thank you. And last but not least, I wanted to thank my staff. They are working nights, weekends, holidays in order to achieve our objectives. As a matter of fact, one night this week and one night last week, I left Joyce at 8:30 in the office. Joyce Brown was still working. I said, you know what? The two of us need to find a better life. So thank you.
And the last item, Mr. Chairman, on the agenda is the Diversity Committee Charter, which every year we present the charter to you. At this point, there are no changes recommended.